A Coon Rapids man was the first American to die of Ebola while he was working in Nigeria back in July. He left behind a wife and 3 young daughters, but his absence brought a stronger motivation to put an end to the disease that continues to claim lives. As a Liberian diplomat, Patrick Sawyer was on a mission to help his home country, sacrificing time away from his wife DeConte and their daughters, 6-year-old Ava, 5-year-old Mia, and Bella turning 2 in Coon Rapids.
He goes, I'm doing this for us, and I have to do this. And so I supported him, and it was hard.
Things got harder. Earlier this year, Ebola hit West Africa, where Patrick had been working.
I really didn't understand how serious it was.
In July, DeConte came to understand the disease all too well when Patrick's sister died without warning. And 2 weeks later, a series of phone calls changed her life.
She called back not too long ago and said, yeah, he's definitely in Nigeria. He's definitely in the hospital being quarantined, and they're thinking he may have Ebola. And I said one final prayer, and then I went to bed, hoping for the best the next day. But then a phone call woke me up at 3 a.m. And that's when they told me that he died. And then I thought about our daughters and what am I going to do? What am I going to say to them? How do I shield them from the pain that was like all over me, my face and my tears, because they didn't need to see that. I did have the conversation with Ava finally after 3 days. Because I didn't know what to say to her, and so I had a conversation with her that, trying to inform her that Daddy was never going to come back, and that was so hard. And I told her, I said, well, Ava, I told her that Daddy's in heaven now, and she said, why? Why is Daddy in heaven? Because she knows the concept of heaven and earth, and so I said, well, Jesus came to get Daddy, God came to get Daddy and took him to heaven. And she said, well, why did God take Daddy to heaven? And I said, well, you know how Daddy's always helping other people and Jesus is always there to work for others? And she said, yeah. I said, well, Daddy was so good at his job at helping other people that God wanted him to help him in heaven. Like, God needs Daddy's help in heaven because he's so great at what he does in helping, and God needs some help, so Daddy went to help him. And she said, oh. And then she goes, can I go too to help with Daddy? And I said, well, no, honey, you can't go to help with Daddy because Mommy needs your help right here. Like, I need you to stay here and help with me here. And she said, okay.
2 months passed, and a memorial service was held in Patrick's honor.
Rest in perpetual peace, my baby boy.
It's not the first time DeConte has felt such pain. She escaped Liberia's civil war at a young age, but her uncle and other loved ones did not.
The Ebola crisis reminds me of that. Like, it takes me back to the Civil War times, because it's the same being here, hearing about what's going on back home, losing loved ones. I lost my husband, losing other family members, and hearing the cries, hearing the stories. But the only difference this time is that I'm not that 11-year-old girl that was helpless and then couldn't do anything. I can do something now. I can fight back. I can be a part of the solution. I can help make it stop. And so that's what I did. That's what I started to do.
After Ebola cases were seen in Texas and New York, hospitals here took notice, preparing for any potential challenges.
I think the likelihood of Ebola coming to Minnesota is small, but we need to be prepared. Most Ebola patients who present, they present with the flu-like symptoms: fever, body aches, abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting. We feel confident that we have the necessary training, the necessary equipment to take care of a patient should they show up at our doorstep or be transferred to our facility.
In a war that cannot be won with guns or bombs, DeConti is fighting with words and gloves. After the service, she launched the Thecopa Foundation to offer protective materials and education to Liberians and counseling for grieving families here.
We need to come together as a global community and work together on eradicating Ebola.
I have this sample kit here, and it has here gloves. These are things that will help contain the virus, prevent it from spreading. Your gloves, your facial masks, these are items we're asking folks to donate. You know, your hand sanitizer, the bleach, shoe covers, robes, different protective gear, personal protective equipments. That's gonna help contain it and eventually help eradicate it. We're really focused on families with the Thecopa Foundation. Families like myself, providing mental health services, something that myself and my daughters are having to go through. Because the ones that are left behind are the ones suffering still to pick up the pieces. So we want to reach out to those families and say, we're with you. We hear you, we see you, we are you, and that it's okay to get help.
So far, more than 6,000 people have died from Ebola in this outbreak, and the CDC predicts 1.4 million could be infected by the end of January next year. For more information on how to donate or volunteer with the Thecopa Foundation, go to thecopafoundation.org.